With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
In this episode of Pop Culture Weekly, I talk with the one and only Kevin Bacon and the amazing Jennifer Nettles and the legendary comedian Sandra Bernhard. Let's go!
Welcome to Pop Culture Weekly with Kyle McMahon from iHeartRadio. Your pop culture news, views, reviews, and celebrity interviews on all the movies, TV, music, and pop culture you crave weekly. Here's Kyle McMahon.
Hello and welcome to Pop Culture Weekly with Kyle McMahon. I, of course, am Kyle McMahon, and I thank you, as always, for joining me once again for another episode of Pop Culture Weekly. We've got such a great all-interview episode, and I talk with the one and only Kevin Bacon and Jennifer Nettles, who I love. I love Sugarland. I love Jennifer Nettles. I love her voice. I love her acting. She's just an amazing person. And I'm talking to both of them about the brand new series, The Bondsman, on Amazon Prime Video. And I talk with Sandra Bernhard. I love her so much. She's one of my favorite comedians. And she has been, just at the forefront of so many things in comedy in her incredible career. So I'm really excited to talk to her, too. Just an update on me. I went to the orthopedic doctor once again, and I have been downgraded from the full immobilizing brace that was going from like my high thigh, all the way down to my ankle. And now I'm in a compression sleeve. I'm still using crutches, and I'm going to be able to test out driving soon. So it'll be almost 2 months since I've driven myself anywhere, which is crazy. But in any event, that's just a little update on me. So let's get right into it, because we have a big show today that I'm really excited about. Today, we have the distinct honor of speaking with a true original. She is a comedic force who has never been afraid to speak her mind ever, and she's been making us laugh for decades with her sharp wit and her fearless observations and her marriage of comedy and music. She is a cultural icon, she is a trailblazer, and she is a living comedy legend. The incomparable Sandra Bernhard is on today, and I am so excited to talk to her. She is joining us to talk all about her brand new comedy tour, the Shapes and Forms 2025 tour. So that's going to be awesome. I can't wait to see it. And you can catch her live in cities across the country. So make sure to check sandrabernhard.com for dates and tickets and all that stuff. So let's jump right into my interview with the one and only Sandra Bernhard. Well, first of all, thank you, the one and only Sandra Bernhard. Welcome to iHeartRadio's Pop Culture Weekly. I really appreciate it. You're an amazing talent. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Of course. So we're going to talk about your tour dates for this year and certain show that you're currently on. But I would like to go back for a second. You started in stand-up, and you've come to do so many things: TV, books, music, movies. What was it when you were first starting out that you set out to do?
Well, I mean, back in the day when I started off, you could just sort of come with a notion that you wanted to be a performer, an entertainer. And then you kind of fell into it. I mean, I guess unless you went to college and maybe studied, acting, but I didn't do it that way. I came to LA when I was 19, and I learned how to become a manicurist. So I had a day job, and I was working in Beverly Hills. And I just kind of was hanging out at the Rocky Horror Show on Sunset, the live show at the Roxy, and I just fell in with a bunch of kids who are from the San Gabriel Valley, and I just cracked them up, and they thought, oh my God, you're so funny, and then I met this woman who I was doing her nails, and she was singing at this venue called the what was it called in Beverly Hills. It'll come to me in a minute. And she said, I'm going to take you there. They have an open mic night, and I'm going to introduce you to Paul Mooney, and he's going to love you and think you're the coolest person in the world. So I went there on open mic night. I put together 5 minutes of my material, and I got up, and I was kind of like strangely kind of a hit, without even trying. And then I met Paul Mooney and my friend Lotus Weinstock, and they were like my mentors and took me under their wing. And that's how it all started. It was like, I didn't know. I wanted to be a singer. I wanted to be an actress. I knew I was funny, but I didn't think about stand-up comedy per se. But it was kind of like, it ended up being the perfect kind of way into everything, because it was back in the 70s and not many women were doing what I was doing, which was sort of like freewheeling, crazy, comedy, that wasn't like, Phyllis Diller or Joan Rivers, like self-deprecating. It was like, hey, I'm cool. I'm postmodern. I'm post-feminist. Of course I'm cool. Of course I'm sexy. Of course I'm this, I'm that. Of course I'm beautiful. So that was something that people hadn't done before. And then I started singing, and all of a sudden it all kind of came together. And that's how I jumped in and how it started. But today it couldn't happen because everybody would do it on TikTok or they would do it on Instagram. And this was just like me with a crazy notion, going to a club. The Ye Little Club was the name of the club, by the way, on Cannon Drive. And the magic just happened.
I love that. Thank God it did, because we have gotten, so much work from you. And and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the things that I think stands out for me looking at your career, you were on David Letterman a lot, and that didn't seem to be a normal thing, especially for a woman comedian. Is that right?
Yeah, well, there were a few of us. There was Terry Garr, there was me, a couple other women that would go on, and other guys too that were his friends. But the really great thing about that was, yes, I always had something to tie into it promoting, but I didn't go on to promote. I just ended up going on to it was almost like performance art. I'd go on with my own idea, my own set. And then they'd do the pre-interview and I'd tell them things I was going to do. But most of the time, it didn't end up being that at all. I would just go off on these tangents, which you can see. I was on the show 30 times.
Wow.
So I always tried to have a theme to my appearance and develop this funny kind of flirtatious relationship with Dave, which I did have a crush on him. But that was unrequited love. Nothing ever get that. And back then, people, you tune in. If you missed David Letterman, you missed David Letterman. There was no tomorrow. There was no YouTube. There were no clips. You saw, either you watched it in real time or you never got to see it, because they didn't repeat, talk shows. So, especially like college kids, we get together, and watch together. It was like a whole thing. So I developed this great audience from those appearances. And again, just from being so in the moment and improvisational, it's just that kind of stuff can't happen anymore.
Yeah. And it just so happened that on YouTube today, a video of you came up in my recommendations, you and Madonna on Letterman,
Right.
which was incredibly funny. Was any of that, I want to say, exactly, yeah.
Well, no, not really. The only thing that was planned was that I was going to bring her on the show because she'd never been on before. And we had been hanging out a lot, and we just decided we're going to dress the same. But what we kind of ended up doing, no, it was like maybe there were moments of things we were going to talk about, but then it just blew wide open. And of course, David was outraged, and this was insane, and these two crazy women, and his whole thing with me dismissing me. It all just happened again. They wouldn't let anything like that happen now.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was, I mean, I was laughing hysterically. You said something about Sean Penn, and then
Yeah.
and then you made a comment to Madonna, well, you're even better or something, you know.
Yeah, it was like, yeah, I slept with Sean, but you were even better. It was like, again, back then, that was like 1988. That was like, oh my God, I was like, blew everything up because, the whole gay thing was like, it still was a little bit like uncharted territory.
Yeah, and you've been at the and Madonna, for that matter, have been at the forefront of the LGBTQI plus community.
Don't worry. You won't insult me if you miss a letter.
Thank you. Where you've been at the forefront of this forever, and it's interesting because for me, looking back at a video like that from 1988 and seeing just how shocked and, everybody was. And it's like, not that something like that would happen at a high school today, but like it's so much more accepted today where you and Madonna in that case were very much at the cutting edge of that sort of thing that brought acceptance,
Yeah, it's true. Well, also it's like we're comfortable with who we are. So, for myself, I can only speak for myself, sexuality and, love and relationships have always sort of, been very fluid and, I've flowed in and out of them. So fluid and flowing. Um, but anyway, so that wasn't like a big deal for me. So when everybody else seemed to respond a certain way, I was always like, I mean, really? I mean, thoughts haven't crossed your mind, attractions, people aren't appeal. Everybody who's beautiful or sexy or interesting is appealing,
Right.
And subject for, a possible, relationship. So that was just sort of like what I was presenting in a fun, sort of, uninhibited way.
And so much of your career has not shied away from things like that. Was that intentional, or is that just because it was so much a part of your world and your communities that's what reflected in your art?
Well, I thought it became something that was sort of a little bit of a fallback just because nobody else had really done it. And then I started getting sort of like comfortable and into because I saw the reactions I was getting from it. But also it's like kind of like poking at culture, poking at society in a way that makes people kind of open up a little bit. And I've always done that in my work. I've always wanted people to like, if you're sitting in a dark room and you've got the curtains drawn and you're kind of looking out, why don't you just open the curtains and like let the sun in and like look at what's happening out on the street? You know what I mean? It's so much more fun than being fearful of it. So I like to think I infuse my work with the idea of throwing the curtains open and revealing all the light.
Yeah, I love that. And as we're talking, I'm thinking you did the same thing similarly with Roseanne, on the series. You've done that. So you've broken so many boundaries in your art that I don't know. I think it's a pretty powerful thing.
I think it is, and I mean, it's harder and harder to do just because there's so much shock value in the world. But I think the thing that transcends that is honesty and really looking at things. It's easy just to be like, loud or drunk or sexual or show your body in a way that's just sort of like for attention. But if you like cut through all of that and you get down to like the real like essence of who you are, that's what really pushes people's buttons and makes them either wake up or like become aware of how important being who you really are is.
I love that. And, another thing that I've loved about your career and love about your career is your marriage of different forms of art. So I'll give you an example. When I was a kid, in the 90s, there was a video store right up the street from me that had DVDs and such. And I was there every day getting a new movie, and it's my thing. And here I am on a pop culture show. But one of the DVDs that I eventually got was your stand-up, and it was very much a marriage of music and comedy and art. Is that, can you speak to that a little bit? You did a whole thing with Stevie Nicks, Songbird, with Christy McVie, and had this whole thing about Stevie and this, that whole thing. I mean, it's just me as a child, as a kid watching this, I'm just like, this is so cool because this isn't the other stand-up DVDs that I've watched. This like marries all kinds of things.
Right. Well, that's what I do. I take songs that have a lot of impact and sense memory, and I write monologues that are not about the song, but about something that sort of runs maybe parallel, or maybe it's something that's completely out of, left field. But, not unlike when you're driving or walking down the street and you're listening to a song, you might encounter something, and in the future, you'll think of that song in conjunction with that experience. So I do a lot of that, of synthesizing songs and feelings and memories and creating like either, kind of comedic, dramatic pieces that have impact. And you're like, oh, wow. It's like, it's like when you watch a movie and they use certain music, it's like, it's evocative. And that's what I like my work to be. That's the one overriding word, is evocative.
Yeah, I think that's a great way to put it. And it made such a huge impact on me because, like I said, I was going through that whole store, every DVD in that store. And so I had seen, whatever order it was in, I guess alphabetical, in the stand-up comedy section.
Right.
None of the other ones that I had seen were like that at all.
No, and they probably never will be. But it's uncategorable. So you kind of like have to put it where people would just assume it would be.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's a high compliment. I appreciate that.
Oh, thank you. So today, you're still touring. You have new tour dates that are coming, that are, throughout 2025 on the Shapes and Forms tour. You are in a very big, hot show right now.
Yes.
What is life like for Sandra Bernhard today?
Well, it's same as it always is. It's like it's day to day. It's like you get up and you have your life. I have my dog, I have my girlfriend, I have my daughter. I mean, she's out on her own, but or it's I do what I do. I go to the gym, I go shopping, I cook, I watch women's college basketball. I'm in the middle of March Madness. you know and simultaneously, you sort of soak in the whole idea that, you continue to be a part of, important work, and people respect you. So they want you to be in their work, like Ben Stiller asked me to do, Severance. And, I've been sitting on that for a year now, because we shot it last year. And I was like, you work, you shoot something, and then you just sort of put it in your back pocket and you don't think much about it. And then it comes out and you're like, wow, it's like, you just never know what's going to really have that sort of, impact. And it's really nice at this point in my career and in my life that I still, make a difference in, a scene or a show. It's, it means a lot to me. It's not, I don't take it for granted.
Did you, were you aware of the impact of, I'm a huge Apple TV Plus fan, and I've worked with them a lot on their various series, in regards to my show, and Severance especially. I loved the first season, but it seems like season 2 just blew up even further. So you weren't expecting this kind of zeitgeist explosion?
No, I don't. There's no way of knowing it. First of all, when you shoot your scenes, you really don't have any idea what else is happening in the other scenes. You don't get a script. You only get your scenes. They keep it very compartmentalized and, separate, which I think is smart. You can only focus in on what you're doing. And no, and I think that the the election made a big difference. I think that people are feeling sort of uh, uncertain, unmoored, and I think touchdowns like great shows like Severance kind of like mean more in these times than they might in other times. It also took a long time to do it. There was the writer's strike, and the actor's strike. A lot of it had to be put on hold. It takes a long time to shoot the show, and people were desperate for the second season. And I think, and because of it, it just had a much bigger impact than anybody could have imagined.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. I love you in it.
Thank you.
Of course. Tell me about touring. I mean, you've been doing this, for a while, and here you are still today doing it.
Yeah.
Is that like your home creatively for you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because it's rare to be a part of a show where you get to like, well, I'm not walking on a set that's not mine and telling people what I'm going to say. So, I have such a strong point of view. And when you can write your own work and continue to have that thread throughout your career and people come to expect it, it's something you just never want to stop doing.
And is part of it that live, that instant reaction? It's obviously different when you're doing a film or a series that, a year later you're getting, feedback on stage. It's like instant, right?
Exactly. And, you're making the physical effort to like go to places. And, I have my band and my people I work with, and it's our little insular world, and it's fun. And, I've always been so attracted to rock and roll and to music, and getting to, I have a lot of friends who are singers and performers. And so it's my little microcosm of that world, and getting to reenact as much of it as as I can and do. And I just love it. I love being on the road. We don't go endlessly. We just do a few dates and I come home. I don't think I'd be the kind of person to go out on a 3-month tour unless I had a hit song and, it was being supported in a way that, made sense. But for the level I do it, I just enjoy it. It's fun, and you get to go back to cities you haven't been to in a long time. You see people and fans that have been coming for years, and it's just, you can't replicate it. It's not like anything else. Like you said, it's a one of a kind experience.
I love that. And for you, what's next for you? Like I said at the top, you've books, stage, screen, every kind of medium you can think of. What's next that, you're looking forward to?
Well, like everything else I kind of said, besides my own work, I don't ever really know what's coming down the pike in terms of my acting. So, when people come, like I'm in the episode of that show Percy Jackson coming up. They just released the second season of Survival of the Thickest, my friend Michelle Buteau's show on Netflix. I'm in an episode of that. I shot a small scene in Marty Supreme, which is Timothy Chalamet's film that's coming up at the end of the year that Josh Safdie directed. So things just come to me, but I can't really just call it the shots, and that's okay, except for my own work. And so I just sit and wait for my manager to call me and say, oh yeah, they want you for this, they want you for that. There might be periods where things are quiet, but it always sort of picks up again.
I love that. I love you. I love your outlook on everything and your work. Please. Thank you. Everybody can go and see you on tour. The dates are on your website.
SandraBernhard.com.
And we'll have that
on Instagram.
Yes, everywhere. We'll have all the links so people can get you everywhere you are. And please come on back on the show whenever you want.
I will. Thank you.
Awesome. Of course. Thank you so much.
Thank you, honey.
Of course. Sandra Bernhard, love her. And it is like I said, from when I was a kid, checking out, every DVD. Literally, my goal was to watch every movie in top 10 music and video in Ellesmere, Delaware when I was a kid. I picked that one up and I just loved it so much. It was just unlike anything else I had seen. All the other comedy specials I'd watched were just the comedian just standing and talking, which, obviously some amazing stuff, but hers was just different. It just blended music and comedy and theater, and it was just so cool, and it remains cool, and she remains cool. So it was a huge thing for me to be able to interview her, and I welcome Sandra, back to the show whenever she wants. We can talk whatever she wants, whenever she wants. And I know you guys feel the same. All right, so we're going to take a quick break to pay the bills, and when we come back, we are talking with Kevin Bacon and Jennifer Nettles. See you in 60.
You're a 2 a.m. wild child, shred the couch on a whim. A little fluffy crazy cat who don't play nice with the kids. You're a danger floof, but I'll keep it safe where you poop. You're an unnatural beast with natural litter under your feet, yeah. At least in your box it's safe. No more dust all over the place. Everybody without clay, say meow! World's best cat litter for the world's best cat.
Location, the lab. Quentin only has 24 hours to sell his car. Is that even possible? He goes to Carvana.com.
What is this, a movie trailer?
He ignores the doubters, enters his license plate. Wow, that's a great offer. The car is sold, but will Carvana pick it up in time for...
They'll literally pick it up tomorrow morning. Done with the dramatics?
Car selling in record time.
Save your time. Go to Carvana.com and sell your car today. Pickup fees may apply.
All right, beautiful. Thank you for supporting our sponsors and helping us pay the bills. Our sponsors allow, me to do this for you. And so thank you and thank them. Thanks to them is what I'm trying to say. All right. So The Bondsman is this brand new show on Amazon Prime Video out right now, and I am in love with it. It is, I would say a comedy, action, horror limited series, I guess you could say. It stars Kevin Bacon and Jennifer Nettles and Beth Grant, Jolene Purdy, and Kevin is Hub Halloran, who is this murdered bounty hunter. And he comes back from the dead after being resurrected by the devil. But there's a catch. He is resurrected by the devil to trap and send demons that have escaped from the prisons of hell by chasing them down. Kind of like how, he did as a bounty hunter. And kind of learn how his own sins got his soul condemned to hell. So it's an awesome show. I highly recommend you watch it on Amazon Prime Video. Horror fans, comedy fans, action fans. It's got all of the things. So let's start our interviews for The Bondsman. I am so hyped to be joined by a multi-talented artist who has conquered the music charts, and she's won Grammys, an Emmy, and now she, has been bringing her presence to the screen. She was in The Exorcist Believer last year. She's been in some great stuff, and I love her. She's got a voice that can soar and a stage presence that commands attention. She is a true force in the entertainment world, and now she's taking on this thrilling new role in The Bondsman, and everybody's going to be talking about this, I am telling you. She is here to discuss The Bondsman, and she co-stars in it with Kevin Bacon, and she plays his ex-wife. So, funny and interesting dynamic. So let's just jump right into it. My interview with the one and only Jennifer Nettles. Thank you so much for speaking with me, Jennifer. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Kyle. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. Congrats on the series. The Bondsman is so great. I'm a huge horror fan, and I absolutely love it. And it's much funnier than I thought, too.
Right? It has a lot of comedy. It has a lot of heart. Like it's not just the horror and the gore. It's got the comedy. It's even got some camp in there too.
Yeah.
You know, like it has a lot of levity. It's like highs and lows, dark and light.
What drew you to play Marianne?
First of all, the script and the idea for the story and the world. I loved that it was, you know, I definitely love supernatural, otherworldly. I'm not necessarily a horror fan per se, or at least in terms of like old school slashers. You know, whenever I was growing up, I was always like totally freaked out by those. But when we get into the supernatural, the otherworldly, the even, you know, I could even go into sci-fi sometimes, like depending. So I enjoy different genre, right? But the script for this itself really popped for me. And when I read something, I always say, like, as a musician, first, I read with my ears, not my eyes. So how does this sound? Does it sound authentic? Is it, you know, how does it sound? Can I hear someone saying this? And it was so real and so authentic to me when I read it, even though the subject matter is absolutely out there, right?
Right.
But the characters felt so real. The characters felt so real to me that I was like, okay. And then, and first and foremost, Kevin Bacon, of course, you know, I mean, like to be able to star opposite him, to be able to work with him, having been a fan and grown up a fan, you know, he's an icon in Hollywood. So to me, it's, I joke and say like the stuff of the show is of nightmares, but working with Kevin Bacon is the stuff of dreams.
I love that. I was talking to him and we were, you know, discussing how musical the series is. And he was saying early on that there was talk about, you know, the characters, you know, being even more musically oriented than what ended up being. But the two of you ended up, you know, I think it's so awesome that the two of you ended up kind of infusing your own artistry as musical artists as well into the series. How was that for you?
That was amazing. And to me, that was definitely also a big draw to the project because, you know, to be able to write for a show as the character, in character, that's such a I don't really know any show out there right now that is doing this in the way that we're doing it. So I think it makes it really unique. But for me as an artist, you know, and loving music and coming to things many times through music first, to be able to write for Marianne as Marianne and be a part of this world and the show really can get you that much more deep into the character and into the world and into the story, you know, to do that through the music. And then even, you know, getting to collaborate with Kevin on a musical level as well was exciting because, of course, we all know him as a Hollywood icon, but we also know that he's had a band for many, many years and he tours and they record, you know, he and his brother. So I was familiar enough with that, but you never know until you get in a room with someone to collaborate how that's going to be. And I was thrilled, you know, to find out that we had a really natural ease in our collaboration. And he's such a fantastic writer, an amazing lyricist, and a wonderful musician, you know, across the board. So we had a lot of fun on this project.
And it comes through as a viewer, you know, and when as I was reading the production notes before I started the series, and I heard this, the first thing, first of all, I thought of was misbehaving.
No, listen, dude, like, do you know, I have laughed so much because obviously the 4th season of Gemstones is out now, you know,
right.
And Amy Lee going from like televangelist to demon hunter, right? And all of it, you know, with music involved. I feel like, yeah, total, a wide range. I got range, okay?
Yes.
I got range.
From heaven to hell and back again.
That's right.
You brought up a really interesting point that that it is super interesting to me, and I'm sure for you as an artist, that this is an opportunity that, you know, most artists actors when they're coming into a script don't get to be, obviously many actors, kind of dive into the personality of their role and all, but you are literally writing, from this character and her and their experiences. And that's a really cool angle that, is got to be rare, I would assume.
Absolutely rare. It is absolutely rare. I mean, like I said, I don't know any other show that's doing it. And for me, obviously as a writer and a musician, even in my own original work, all of that is storytelling. Not all of that is autobiographical, confessional, right? I mean, sure, every artist puts his or her emotional landscape into every song that he or she writes, and yet not all of it is a confessional. Some of us do more of that than others, but some of the songs are absolutely there for the story of it. So that wasn't anything new, luckily for me. Creating a character or creating a story in that way. What was new, it's almost like I came at it from the flip side then with this project, because I got to obviously read the script, understand the characters, have all of this story already there, and then go even deeper with the music. And I do think it makes it super unique. I think it adds to the world, right, that we've created. It adds to the show because you get a whole other level, right, of these people and of what they're going through and of their relationship and of their backstory. All of that is in the music.
And we're going to be able to get it in an EP, the Bondsman Helen Back.
Right? You there at iHeartRadio are going to be able to play it right there in the EP. That's coming out the day after. I don't know when we're going to be doing this here that we're actually shooting right now, but it's going to be coming out the day after the show comes out.
I can't wait for that. Can we hope for any, maybe live appearances in the future where you're both doing some of the songs?
I would love that. We did actually, when Sugarland was out on tour just before the holidays, we had Kevin come out and we performed one of the songs that's on the EP. So you'll be able to see some snippets of that video that we captured when we were in Austin. He came out and joined us on the road. And of course, the crowd went bananas, because I set it up as like, I've been working on this project and now you're going to get to say you're 1 degree away from Kevin Bacon, So of course, everybody loved that. But yeah, it was a super fun performance.
I can't wait for everybody to see this. I got to ask you finally, are you, the Exorcist believer, now the Bondsman, are you a scream queen?
I guess I am.
I think you are.
Oh my God. We just established it right here.
Yeah.
I think I am. I'm a scream queen. I am.
I love it.
I am.
I love it.
I am claiming that. You know what? I'm using this for the rest of the day. I'm using it. I'm a scream queen. I am. You said it right here. You coined it right here.
I love it. Thank you, Jennifer, so much. I can't wait for everybody to see The Bondsman and check out the EP, The Bondsman Helen Back, and we'll be seeing you again. Thank you. You're a joy to talk to and watch.
And likewise. Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So fun.
Jennifer Nettles. Love, love, love. Screen queen Jennifer Nettles. She is so awesome. Such a great person. And her voice, oh my goodness gracious. If you haven't, for some reason, listened to Sugarland and you've lived under a rock for the last 15 years, her voice is just, so powerful. Yeah, she's also featured in The Righteous Gemstones, which I absolutely love that movie, or that series as well. And she is hysterical in that. She's just so great. And I hope that she comes back on the show for her next project because she's just awesome. All right. Next up, we have the one and only Kevin Bacon. He is a cinematic icon, and his career spans decades of unforgettable performances. From like his early breakout roles to becoming a household name, he has consistently captivated audiences with his versatility and that Kevin Bacon charisma. And now he's diving back into the supernatural with The Bondsman. So as I mentioned, earlier in the segment, Kevin plays Hub Halloran, who is this kind of backwoods bounty hunter who gets a second chance at life, and I'll say life in quotes, with a demonic twist. So let's jump right into my interview with the one and only Kevin Bacon. So, first of all, congratulations on the series. I love it. I'm a huge horror fan, and I love how it kind of toes the line through multiple genres. Is that something that, I mean, you're Kevin Bacon. You can do any project you want. Is that something that drew you to the project?
Well, I mean, as you know, I've always loved horror. I've circled back to it from Friday the 13th to Tremors to Stir of Echoes, The Hollow Man. I mean, it's something that I like working in because I like how high the stakes are. You know, it's always a life or death situation. It's also just a genre that I've just enjoyed as a consumer. I mean, I remember one of the first movies I saw was Vincent Price's House of Wax in 3D. It was like a movie that I don't remember it being a great movie, but it was a lot of fun. You put the stupid goggles on, and smoke comes in the room, and you and the girl that you're sitting next to try to pretend the smoke's there. And then I went on and fell in love with like Rosemary's Baby and Don't Look Now and The Shining and The Exorcist. All those were all like beautiful, crazy, psychological, scary films that were made by auteur filmmakers. So yeah, I'm drawn to it. The thing about The Bondsman is it threads a needle in I think a really cool way between horror and comedy, which don't always work. It does work sometimes. You can see examples of that sometimes in things like Shaun of the Dead and there's some humor in Barbarians and certainly in Get Out. There are some funny moments in Get Out, but it sometimes doesn't work at all. So that was really that was the fine line that I think we had to walk with this show.
And you did it beautifully. I also have to ask you, you have an EP coming out supporting the film with Jennifer Nettles, is that like another outlet for you, as a creative, where you can kind of...
Yeah, I've been a musician for a really long time. I've been writing songs I started writing songs before I even started acting. So I've always kind of kept them separately, but for this, the character was already a songwriter. He was supposed to be a musician who had a band with his wife that didn't break up. The band broke up when him and his wife broke up, and she's still singing. And so someone suggested that maybe I could write some songs for the show. And when Jennifer got cast, because she was the best actress, it also happened to be that she's also a great singer and a great songwriter. So the first thing before we even started shooting, we got together and just started writing some tunes. And some of them made them in the show, and some of them didn't make it in the show. But we liked the songs and decided to just record them all and put them out.
I can't wait for that, and I can't wait for everybody to see The Bondsman. As a horror fan, it's such a great series. Thank you, Mr. Kevin Bacon. You're amazing as always.
Appreciate you.
Kevin freaking Bacon. I just interviewed Kevin Bacon, and I just interviewed Jennifer Nettles, and I just interviewed Sandra Bernhard. What a freaking show. What an episode of Pop Culture Weekly. I am like high right now. Not literally. I mean, but I'm just high on, I get to do what I love to do. I get to, interact with you, and you hit me up on socials, and we discuss movies and pop culture and TV and music and all of the things. And I love what I do. I genuinely, absolutely love it. And I thank you for allowing me to do this, because you listening, you sharing the show, on social media with your friends or whatever, you talking about it, you reviewing it, it all helps me to continue to do it. And I can't thank you enough for that, seriously. So that's this episode of Pop Culture Weekly, and I can't wait to see you on the next one with all kinds of great stuff. And I can't wait to hear what you think about The Bondsman, and let me know. And let me know if you're going to see Sandra, if you've already seen her. I want to talk about that too with you. So hit me up and let's discuss pop culture. All right. I'll see you next week. I love you. We out.
Thank you for listening to Pop Culture Weekly. Hear all the latest at popcultureweekly.com.
I am 0 degrees from Kevin Bacon. I am 0 degrees from Jennifer Nettles. I am 0 degrees from Sandra Bernhard. I am 0 degrees from Kevin Bacon.